actually we're in sync. And our origin story is that Danielle, about 3.5 years ago, was co-hosting Democracy-ish with Toure. And then she said, Waj, Toure's leaving, so I'm looking for a new co-host. And she said, I'm just looking for you to guest sub. So I thought, okay, she's going to ask me to guest sub. She asked me once, and then she asked me next week, and then two weeks later, she asked me again. And then I'm like, all right, she just, I just thought she needed a favor. She just needs a guest host because, Toure is stepping out. So, and then 6 weeks later, she goes, Watch, I have to confess, secretly, I was auditioning you, but you're at the top of my list. So you want to do it? And I'm like, you must be really desperate. Like, was everyone else really bad? Tell us the real story, Danielle.
No, that's the real story, is that you were always on my top of my list. I wanted to keep democracy-ish going after Torre left. And I was just like, but democracy-ish, right, is all about like chemistry. It isn't just about going through the headlines. So I'm like, who do I have really good chemistry with? And the funny thing is, folks, this is what I actually want you to know. How many times, I'm going to ask the audience, how many times do you think that Wash and I have met in person in the 3.5 years since we've been working together? How
Good
many
point.
times do you take a guess? How many times Waj and I have actually been in the same room physically at the same time? And okay, so people are saying zero, 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 zero question mark. And I will tell you, it's been a grand total of one time. One time in 3.5 years, Waj and I have been in the same room. And so chemistry matters, and we have it. So I'm grateful that you continue to, want to be in conversation.
And it works out too because the first time I met Danielle, look, folks, this is funny. So Danielle Moody and Aisha Mills. So I know Aisha, and I was like, oh, Danielle Moody Mills, her previous name, and Aisha Moody Mills. I thought they were sisters, and I was like, are they sisters? Are they related? And then I went and I met Danielle, and I'm like, Danielle, do you know Aisha Moody Mills? Is she related to you? And then Danielle just looked at me, and then Q, who was our producer, was like,
It was like, not today.
literally he looked at me, he was like, bro. And I'm like, what? What? So Danielle was married, and I know her former partner, and then I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And they just looked at me like, what? Then she's like, let's just finish this photo shoot. So
Right.
that's literally, I had no idea. I just realized we got along, and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then Danielle just looked at me with that Danielle look, like, you're dumb, but you're well intentioned. And I can't get angry at you.
Well,
Wow. So folks,
okay.
it's worked out. It's worked out really well. It's been about 3.5 years, and we keep going. And we're doing our "We Told You So" tour right now, and it's the worst "I Told You So." I swear, I think I speak for Danielle here. We get no joy. We're not patting ourselves in the back. I've been wrong about things. I own it. Danielle, when she's wrong, she owns it. I have wanted to be wrong, Danielle,
Yes.
about all of it. We have used the word fascism. We have used the word white supremacy. We have used the word martial law. We have said Donald Trump will unleash the National Guard against the people. We have said the corporations will bend the knee. We have said media will bend the knee. We said it all. All the receipts are there. We were not taken seriously, Danielle, is because you're a black queer woman. I'm a brown Muslim man. And
Yep.
you know, and I know. And everyone who thinks otherwise, I give you the last 8 months. White lives matter more in this country. White tears matter more. White grievances matter more. White rage matters more. White voices matter more. In order for me and Danielle to get a statue, we would have to create statues. But you just have to be a racist, treasonous loser who wanted to enslave black people. And you could be Robert E. Lee and have the Robert E. Lee School. You could be a hate monger like Charlie Kirk, and we should mourn the manner in which he was killed and condemn the murder, but we do not have to celebrate his legacy because his legacy was of hate, and now he is engaged in a hagiography and memorialized. And the people who do that are white moderates. And
Yep.
we've been telling you for months, we've been quoting MLK, beware of the white moderate. And what we have said on this show and our respective platforms is the two enduring sins of America are white supremacy and unfettered capitalism, racism and greed. And folks, you've seen it now. You've seen it. And we also said these white moderates, folks, just trust us. They ain't going to get the job done. And people said, no, Waj, we like our Ezra Kleins. No, Waj, we like our Bill Maher's. No, Waj, we like our Tim Millers, we like our Matt Iglesias. And I was thinking about this yesterday, Danielle,
Hmm.
about how people are finally waking up to the Ezra Kleins and the Matt Iglesias and the abundance movement and the centrist Democrats and the establishment and the Schumers, yada, 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 yada. And I remember for 20 years, Muslims and Arabs in particular have been warning about Bill Maher. I have the receipts, I have the articles. And Democrats said, shut up. You're being sensitive. And he knocks everyone. He hates all religion. We're like, no, no, no. Bill Maher, just trust us on this. There's a particular cruelty, a particular racism, particular bigotry. Black women also said it. And all these libs went on his show and Democrats went on his show, gave him a pass for his Islamophobia, his anti-Palestinian rhetoric. You remember that?
Yep.
Only a handful of people spoke up and they said, shut up, brown cow. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. For 20 years. And voila, voila, Danielle. So today's episode is called White Moderates Need to Evolve into White Radicals or Shut the F Up. And Danielle, before we get into it, if I may, I got Danielle's permission, and Danielle told me she said, do this, Waj. Folks, for the first time ever, Danielle's independent, I'm independent. We get no money from billionaires. We don't read ads. And Ground News came out, saw what we did, and Ground News says, we want to partner with you. I'm like, what does that mean? Who are you? Ground News says we partner with Jess Craven. We partner with your allies like Qasim Rashid, with Zateo, with the iHip ladies. You be you. We have a service that we think your viewers will love, groundnews.com. And Ground News is run by a brown woman, a NASA scientist. It's independent. And what it does, it allocates all the news from around the world, international news, national news, local news, into one central website. And in addition to aggregating and allocating, what it really does is it audits. It audits the news. So you know the news source, who funds them, do
Yep.
they lean right or left, and how trustworthy they are. And then they compare the same headlines. And then they also do something called Blindspot, which shows you all the news items that the right wing and the left wing, mostly it's the right wing, is missing out. So you could do a compare and contrast, go through all the bullshit in one space. I saw it. I talked to Qasim. I said, are these guys legit? He said, yes. I talked to Jess. She said they're legit. I said, I'm not going to promote anything if I don't trust it. They gave me 2 weeks of a free run. I saw it. I thought it'd be very useful and helpful. So Ground News has given all Left Hook and now Democracy-ish viewers a 60% off. I don't get any money from it. So if you do it, do it. Tell me what you think about it. But I also want Ground News to support and promote Danielle. And I want them to support Danielle Moody. So if you're watching Ground News, if you really are supporting these allies who are independent, who keep it real, who don't bend the knee, you got Qasim, you got Mehdi, you got the iHip ladies, you got me. Support Danielle as well. And I'm going to put Danielle, I'm going to give the baton to you, and I'm going to put the link for all of the Left Hook viewers right now. If you go to Ground News, you'll get 60% off their Vantage plan. Let me know what you think. This is the code you can use. And if it works out, let me know. Most of you who have signed on, you said it's actually a great, great help. It's a fantastic, again, international aggregator, one-stop shop, and auditor, which is why I think it's very useful. Danielle.
No, I think that that's phenomenal. Look, I think now more than ever, it's really important to look at where you're putting your money and where you're putting your eyeballs and where you're putting your time, and to do the research to understand whether or not the people, the organizations and corporations that you're supporting, do they actually support you? Not just you giving them more money and not just, your attention, but do they support you? Are they taking your money by day, but siding and sitting at dinners with Donald Trump at night? Like, these are important things to do. So I am super appreciative, Waj, that you did the work in investigating who you want to be able to use your brand and your talent. And then for always being such an incredibly gracious co-host and wanting to help to promote me and the work that I do. So appreciate you.
No, always. And folks, we're going to speak for the next 30 minutes now about our request is for white moderates to turn into white radicals. If you don't like the word radical, all right. It's time for white centrists and white moderates to turn into white reformers. Danielle, I think the last 2 weeks has proven our point. I first yield the floor to you.
Look, for folks, let me just say this. Since the murder, the unfortunate murder of Charlie Kirk, I think that we have all, particularly for people who wanted to believe that, racism is not really part of what Trump's plan is. He's just greedy. I know there are people that love to want to just focus on the grift part and focus on the criminality part, but they want to look away from the racism. And what we experienced over the last couple of weeks since the murder of Charlie Kirk are white moderates like Ezra Klein who used their platform and their privilege to try and whitewash for the rest of us who this man was in life. And I will echo what so many have said. How you die does not erase how you lived.
Mm.
Right? And I think that that is something that is really important. In America, I feel like there is a sickness that happens, that when people are killed or when they die, that we want to just remember like the great things, or we want to recreate, right? And reimagine who these people actually were in life because, oh, you don't want to quote unquote speak ill of the dead. Well, nobody is saying to speak ill of the dead. What we have been saying is tell the truth. And what Ezra Klein decided to do, and I just name him because I think that it's really important, the conversation that happened a couple of days ago between him and Ta-Nehisi Coates on the New York Times is that he used his platform to say that Charlie Kirk did politics the right way. And I'm
Remarkable.
like, so to smear, lie, create stereotypes, degrade, demoralize, and dehumanize groups of people that you don't like and don't agree with is not doing things the right way just because you want to pull up a chair on a college campus and say, debate me, when you actually aren't coming with facts or figures. You're coming with rhetoric and lies that are well funded by billionaires, right? Because they were losing the youth, right, to the left wing. Because what happens when you become more educated and you have different friends and you use college campuses as like the microcosm of society, that you become actually less bigoted. And the right wants to hold on to their bigoted power. So they find this, regular looking young white man and they throw a bunch of money behind him.
That's right.
And I just want to say, Ezra Klein writes that piece in the New York Times just applauding everything that everything that Charlie Kirk has done. Charlie Kirk called Black women dumb. Said that we only have our positions because we take them away from competent white men. That trans people don't deserve to live, right? Don't deserve access to basic civil rights and humanity, right? Muslim people, like disabled people, just the way that this man has used his platform to create this hate storm in America is disgusting. Ta-Nehisi Coates took Ezra Klein, who is his friend, to task in a piece that he then wrote at Vanity Fair. And then a couple of days ago, they both sit down for a 68-minute conversation that I tell you, everyone needs to listen to. Because when Ta-Nehisi Coates is bringing facts, historical context, Ezra Klein is just like, well, let's not talk about history here. Like, let's just, deal with the present because you have the privilege to detach yourself from history. Black people do not. Brown people do not, right? And so it was consistently listening to Ezra Klein refer to politics as a game and Ta-Nehisi Coates talk about the humanity of people. And it was just, folks, if you want to know why America continues to struggle, why we take 5 steps forward and then 35 steps back every time there is just a little bit of progress, listen to Ezra Klein, because white moderates are the problem that Martin Luther King spoke about, that Malcolm X spoke about, and they are still the problem now.
And it was they want to get to reconciliation without truth, something that I've said on the show before. And it reminded me of a memory I had, and I used this example before. It was several years ago during BLM, Black Lives Matter protests, and a wealthy white moderate, a donor to Democrats, a liberal, wanted to host a conversation on race in America, and there was an organization. Uh, Penn. And a leader of Penn calls me and says, "Hey, Waj, I want your advice. We have this donor and he wants to host something in the East Coast. And, he wants to talk about race. But he says, one condition: I do not want to even mention BLM. It's too divisive. Waj, is this possible?" And I said, "No, it is not possible. You could do it, but it would be completely toothless and, in fact, more insulting to Black folks and brown folks and actually do more damage to conciliation because they want reconciliation without truth." This is what we're seeing in the last 2 weeks, right? Because Ta-Nehisi Coates is sitting there. Ezra Klein, as people have mentioned in the, in the comments, it's like he can't hear. It's like it's what whiteness does, what privilege is. Not all white people, folks. I want to be very clear because people get triggered. When we say whiteness or white supremacy, we're not talking about white people. We're talking about an ideology, a system of supremacy that blinds you from your own privilege and your abuses of that privilege. There are a lot of white people who systematically try to dismantle white supremacy. And there are people of color who become enforcers of it. So just because you're white or identify as white, we're not talking about you. We're talking about whiteness and white supremacy. I want to be very clear. All right. What whiteness does or white supremacy does is it blinds you from your own privilege. And you just don't see the big picture because you lack the empathy. And so what Ta-Nehisi was saying, Danielle, is there is a cost and consequence to normalizing Charlie Kirk
Yep.
that is borne by Black and brown bodies, and there's a history here. And you could have just not said anything.
Not said anything.
He literally said silence was
Was
an option.
silence not an option?
Was silence not an option? And Ezra still doesn't see it. And then Ezra doubles down on the conversation that he had with Tim Miller. Tim Miller of the Bulwark. Go, folks. I know you love the Bulwark. They do good work. Yada 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 yada. Go look right now. Right now. Go look at Bulwark on Substack. Look at their masthead. Look at their About Us section. Go right now. What do you see? Danielle, why don't you guess how many the faces? You want to guess the color of the faces?
I have looked at the About Us, and I'm pretty sure it's 99.9% white.
It's all white except Adrian, a Latino. Okay, so run by Bill Kristol, neocon Warhawk, right? Who's like kind of getting more progressive now, but still, look at the way I've always said this before. You all don't pay attention to me. The reason I got my first beef with Tim Miller a year and a half ago, not really a beef, I called out the casual anti-Palestinian bigotry, the casual dehumanization of Palestinians as they were being killed, the casual lumping of Palestinians with Hamas. I'm like, yo, this is problematic. Look at what happened in the 2024 election. Democrats decided to dropkick. They would rather dropkick Letitia and embrace Liz Cheney. Okay, if there was a Letitia, they're like, ugh, Letitia, ew, ooh, Liz Cheney. They would rather dropkick, a Fatima, a Palestinian, and embrace an Adam Kinzinger. That's what happened, folks. You all don't like the facts. That's what happened.
Yep.
And look what's happening in the past 2 weeks with Tim Miller and Ezra Klein. They did Tim Miller brought him on the Bulwark podcast. And to them, it was like a game. To them, it was all about winning, all about the elections. And they were talking about, well, maybe it's easier to go fascist than for a Democrat to win the South. What concessions should we make for Democrats to win the South? Do we need to run on pro-choice? Do we need to do this? And you saw in real time the way their brains were working. Who should we throw under the bus in order to win the game?
Because literally, and this is what I want folks to say, because people will say, well, isn't Tim Miller gay? And I'm telling you, as a member of the LGBTQ plus community, as somebody who has worked in policy and politics around the movement, right? Just because he is gay does not mean he doesn't stand 10 toes down in his whiteness. And some of the most race oblivious and racist people I have met are white gay men. So I want folks to understand that just because you may come from a marginalized group does not actually mean that you are about that group. And so to listen to them talk in gameship tones about where we are right now just iterates to me and should to all of you that they have no skin in the game, right?
Mm,
That their family members are not in danger of being kidnapped by ICE, of being beaten and thrown to the floor like the 70-something-year-old grandfather, or the woman who was crying about the loss of her husband and was thrown to the ground like a piece of trash in front of her children, right? That you're not concerned. And they think that they are neutral because they still think that their whiteness allows them to be neutral. No, you are complicit. You are complicit in a system and a structure that uses the rest of us like pieces in a
yep.
fucking game to discard or to use or to move in which way you see fit. We're here, right? Not just because of the evil and the rabid racist of the Republican Party. We're here because of white moderates who think that humanity is a game and one that they can figure out. Oh, well, ooh, trans people are too divisive. It's too much of a hard topic. So let's throw them under the bus. We'll come back for them later, maybe, if we have
Maybe.
time,
Maybe.
right? And so what we are saying as a collective is that we're done with the game because this is not a game. It is about our lives and it's about all of our lives because your whiteness is not going to protect you in fascism, right? Like it is not. Neither is your tolerance for being able to ignore what is happening right now because it's not on your front doorstep because it's coming. Donald Trump literally declared war in America yesterday, and that should have been the headlines everywhere in
Yep.
this country. And so for people, for people like them who still think that like this is a policy battle as opposed to like a fundamental like battle for either white nationalism or multiracial democracy, and either you are about liberation for all people or you're not in it or you're not. Right. And this is what we're saying. We are done with the nuance part and parcel. Oh, we need to win, so don't talk about Palestine, or we need to do this, so don't mention BLM, or we need to do this. No, it's either all of us or it's fucking none of us.
And let's take the DeLorean from what Danielle just dropped on October 1st, 2025 to April 16th, 1963. I'm going to give a quote, and we're going to take from 1963 back to October 1st, 2025. Quote, "First, I must confess that over the last few years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in the stride toward freedom is not the white citizens' counselor or the Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate, who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I can't agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically feels he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by the myth of time, and who constantly advises the Negro, immigrant, Muslim, queer person, woman, to wait until a, quote, more convenient season. Shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering than outright rejection." April 16th, 1963, Martin Luther King, letter from Birmingham jail. Let's go to the 90s. The DeLorean now is the 1990s. Bill Clinton, the first black president, neoliberalism, shades. He's young, Arkansas, eats a McDonald's. Who does he throw under the bus? Sister Soldier. Him and Joe Biden. Crime bill, mandatory minimum sentences, ravage an entire generation of poor black and brown people. Fast forward to 9/11. Throw them Muslims and Arabs under the bus, even though it was 19 foreign hijackers who brought down the two towers, 15 from Saudi Arabia. But hey, if they give you bags of money, you yuck it up and you make them laugh in the Riyadh Comedy Festival, and you'll take the $2 billion bags of cash, Jared Kushner, and you'll take the $2 billion Stephen Witkoff and his son, and you'll take the billions golfers for the LIV Golf and for F1 and UFC. But guess what? Even though it was those 19 foreign hijackers, Let's make all Muslims, especially American Muslims, into suspects. Let's surveil them. Let's throw them under the bus. Let's take away their rights. Let's do a registry program. Let's create ICE and the Patriot Act. We'd rather feel safe than be free. And we're perfectly fine giving up the freedoms of these Browns and these Muslims. Let's fast forward. These immigrants, not now. Let's punt. 2012, let's punt. 2016, let's punt. 2020, let's punt. 2024, we like the gays, but the trans, they're gross. That's woke. Throw them under the bus. Pro-Palestinian students, we're going to crush you. Let's crush Columbia. Let's crush Harvard. Let's crush UPenn. Palestinians, we don't want you. That's scary. AIPAC doesn't like it. Look at the poll numbers. No one likes these Palestinians, even though the poll numbers show that our base actually, once the end of the war, end of occupation, considers Netanyahu to be a war criminal. Instead, let's actually be moderate. Let's actually neuter Tim Walz, who got the job for being aggressive and calling Republicans weird. Let's get away from our economic populist message that defined the first half of Kamala Harris's campaign. And let's dropkick Letitia and a Palestinian. Let's dropkick Letitia and Layla and bear hug a Liz Cheney instead. Oh shit, we lost. You know what we should do? More moderate stuff. Let's go against woke. Let's have Elisa Slotkin, the centrist CIA employee from Michigan, follow up Donald Trump and quote Reagan, and then say we have to be against the weak and the woke. Let's have Gavin Newsom on his podcast invite Charlie Kirk and frigging Steve Bannon and agree with them. Let's vote for the Laken Riley Act and throw undocumented immigrants under the bus. Let's keep quiet as they friggin' detain Mahmoud Khalil and Rameza Ozturk. Let's say nothing as they have Kilmar Abrego Garcia and 200 brown people get kidnapped. And then finally Chris Van Hollen goes, and finally it's in the news, and still people are quiet, white moderate, don't say woke, throw Palestinians under the bus, the gays, the trans, undocumented. Oh shit. The border is no longer in Mexico. The border is in Chicago. The border is in Portland. The border is in LA. Oh shit, they went after Jimmy Kimmel. We're not safe. Danielle, October 1st, take it away.
I mean, it's, and then the only thing that you missed was let 95 Democrats then sign a day honoring Charlie Kirk. Right? Like, let's do that.
Sorry, that was off the head, Danielle.
Because that's going to show folks that you're the adults in the room by honoring, continuing the legacy of your ancestors by honoring the legacy of hate mongers, right? So, the lay down, the path that you just laid out, this is the road to hell, right? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. This is what white moderates think are good intentions. Oh, we just need to have conversations. We need to reach across the aisle. Not if you are asking me to minimize my humanity, to make myself small enough so that you can chew me up and spit me out. That is off the fucking table. And so that's the continued. It's like, don't be too black. Don't be too Muslim. Don't be too much of a feminist. Don't be too gay. Don't be too trans. Don't be too this. Also that, right? We can package up this false idea of what democracy looks like and sell it to people. And you wonder why you lose. Because you are so willing to sell people out, right? People want to know, well, I don't understand. Donald Trump's poll numbers are in the trash, but people aren't running to the Democratic Party. Of course you're not running to the Democratic Party. Why would you run towards a pack of fucking losers who are just waiting for the opportunity to back over you, right, in their car? Oops, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there, but Donald Trump doesn't really like you anyway, so I figured it wouldn't be that big of an issue. Right? Like we gotta sacrifice some in order to move forward, right? Like that's the mentality of the Democratic Party. And the rest of us are waking up to it and being like, yeah, I'm not riding with you. I really am not. And so I look at this and I need for people to really, again, there is a lot of unlearning that folks need to do in this country if we are actually to create a real multiracial democracy, which is something we have never had. There is a lot of unlearning of the indoctrination that has happened here that still has people believe that whiteness is somehow neutral, right? Or that is, the elite, right? Like the elite. So, Bernie Sanders is a perfect example of another white moderate, right? Who said, well, after the 2016 election was, what did he say about identity politics?
Yeah, that's a
Let's not talk
problem.
about identity politics, right? That's how we got to just focus on the economy. How the fuck do you talk about the economy, but you don't talk about the racial wealth gap? How the fuck do you talk about the fact that white families have 15 times, 20 times the amount of wealth that black families have? And you want to make that about what? Ingenuity and innovation as opposed to like stolen opportunities and eminent domain and the denial of loans and housing and job opportunities? Like, give me a fucking break. So
It's
for
a weak. Sorry, continue.
no, no,
I'm
no,
glad you
please
mentioned
go
that.
ahead.
Glad you mentioned that because the the economic populist message of Bernie Sanders and a lot of the white progressives is very good. But you cannot divorce it from race. You need the race class narrative. That's the way to go. That's the only way for Democrats. And one of the weaknesses of Bernie, which he has been working on, and the Bernie bros, right, if you will. I'm not using it as a pejorative, but I'm talking about specifically the white progressives because you've felt it, I felt it, you've heard it, I've heard it. They still, some of them still have that blind spot. What's that blind spot? Whiteness. They have that blind spot. And what they think is ignore race, unite around class, which I get it. I get it. Go against the broligarchy. Fantastic message. 99% versus the 1%. I got you. You cannot ignore race in this country. You cannot ignore it. You cannot ignore white supremacy. They want to ignore it. They want to punt it. They want to not talk about it. They want to treat it like Voldemort. You can't, folks. You can't. Why? Because it impacts everything.
Everything.
If you don't believe me, just look at his Pete Kexet's freaking speech yesterday. Like people are like, "Yo, why do transgender people catch his rays? Why are DI people catch his rays? Why are fat people catch his rays?" They bring it up into everything. They're obsessed with it. They want a white America. They want all of us gone. Donald Trump, folks, one of the biggest pieces of news because there's 17 pieces of news. He is asking the Supreme Court to revisit birthright citizenship
Yep.
as of this week. Stephen Miller has wet dreams about bombing Mexico. They promote Nazi conspiracy theories about Haitians eating pets, even when it was the Wall Street Journal that reported Vance and Trump were told this was a Nazi bullshit conspiracy. It was wrong. They still ran on it, folks. So we can't ignore this. And you can't ignore it. That's what I want to tell white folks and moderates. You cannot ignore it. Folks, Danielle and I tried to keep it real. I was giving speeches. I want to give a speech. I talked to a bunch of wealthy folks. They're raising money for a good cause for schools um, in Chicago. And I said, when Trump got elected, I gave a lot of these talks to Muslims and Pakistanis, my peoples, who were in the suburbs. And by the way, folks, majority of them voted for Kamala Harris. Even despite everything, it was the whites. It was the majority of whites who still went with Trump. Just keeping it real. All right. Everyone says, oh, it's because of Palestine. It's your fault, your fault. Majority of them still, despite a genocide, still went for
Yep.
Kamala Harris. Latino women, majority still went with Kamala Harris. Majority blacks understood the assignment. Jewish women understood the assignment, right? White women, sorry, 45% of you, thank you. Majority of white women, yet again, 3 times in a row, still with Trump. But I digress. These people who either voted for Kamala Harris or didn't vote, or a couple of people voted for Trump or voted for Jill Stein, I told them, I said, you thought your wealth would protect you. You thought living in the suburbs would protect you. You thought golfing with Chet would protect you. You thought your kid in the private school would protect you. You thought, oh, the left has gone too far with the gays. Ew, transgender. You thought they'd stop at the transgender. Now, how do you feel? And now all those folks within 7 months, Danielle, these folks who are enforcers of white moderates and white supremacy, they realize, oh shit, I look like Danielle and Waj and Mahmoud Khalil and Rameza Osterk and Kilmar Abrego Garcia. They don't see my Tesla. They don't see the fact that I have a 6-figure salary. They don't see the fact that I golf with Chet. They don't see the fact that I made money for this country. They don't see the fact that I work for Intel or Google or Yahoo. They see me as a brown invader just like Danielle, Mahmoud, Kilmar, and others. Oh my God, what have we done?
I mean, and what have you done is believe that your proximity to whiteness was going to save you, right? What do immigrants to this country learn? They learn who's on the bottom and who's on the top.
That's right.
And they realize, right, when they're taught this. My family are immigrants. They came from Jamaica, right? And what did the Caribbean folks learn? That Black Americans are on the bottom. And in some weird world, think that there is some nuance to be had about Caribbeans or Africans versus like African Americans. But you have got to understand that whiteness protects no one, not even its fucking own. Just look at the fact that who is about to lose, right, on top of the Dobbs decision, right? Who is about to lose access to birth control, right? Who is about to lose access to birth control? White women. Who in
Yep.
majority voted for Donald Trump? White women, right? So I just, look, Watch and I get no joy in being right. I would love to be wrong.
Yep.
Because if I were wrong, it would mean that, you know what? America does learn lessons. America does want to be better than it is. That we would right now just be in conversation about what policies Kamala Harris could be doing better, as opposed to what kind of safety devices do I need to start having in my home for the impending war.
Folks, I think the way Zoran Mamdani is doing it, he, as a brown man, as a child of immigrants, he can't ignore race. He can't ignore Islamophobia. So he's taken that economic populist message, but used that as a giant boat lifting everyone up. I said this when I was talking to Fred Wellman, who's running for office now, an hour ago, Danielle, is I interviewed Zoran when he was a distant number two. Okay. He was a distant number two to Cuomo, but he stood for something. And he said, these are my pillars, win or lose. This is it. I'm going to sink or swim on these pillars that I strongly believe in, and I'm going to advocate for this. He did not throw immigrants under the bus, did not throw women's rights under the bus, did not throw Muslims under the bus, did not throw pro-Palestinian students under the bus, did not throw LGBTQ folks under the bus. He did not throw workers under the bus. He goes, this is what I stand for. It's a big boat. We need to fight the oligarchy. I don't believe in billionaires, but if there's a billionaire willing to work with me, I'll work with them to make New York City affordable for all. For all. And that's the class race narrative that we have to actually run with, because class race narrative confronts the two enduring sins of America, which is white supremacy and unfettered capitalism, racism and greed. You cannot ignore the rest of us. And we need white moderates to turn into those white radicals. When white people complain, when white people shout, the country listens. When there is a white skull that is fractured, the country listens. When a white comedian gets canceled, the country listens, because they realize, oh shit, it isn't just the blacks and the browns and the women. They're coming after us. And so this is where we need, for the No Kings rally, just like the last one, white faces. You be in the front. We need white people. Talk to your relatives. Have the tough conversations. Step on toes. Run for office. Uplift the veterans in your communities, right, who are progressive. It's going to be all of us. We're all in it no matter what. We're going to be doing the work no matter what, folks. Black and brown people have to, because we have to literally save our communities. Literally, folks.
Literally.
My kids, Danielle, my kids, and okay, I'll give you an example where I am without giving too much details, but everyone knows I live in Virginia, DC. Very diverse. As you know, I have 800 kids. My house is there's kids all over all the time in my house. It's that house. Literally. My son's best friends, Arab kid, son of immigrants, Ethiopian kid, son of immigrants, El Salvadoran kid, son of immigrants, some Pakistani Muslim kid, son of immigrants, white kid, born and bred here. Parents are white Christians. My two daughters, same. All right, very diverse. The kids in our neighborhood, because there are a lot of Latinos and a lot of children of Ethiopian immigrants. The kids, I didn't teach them this. My wife didn't teach them this. They look out for white vans in my community. And my daughter, I had to calm my daughter down. I'm like, who taught you this? He goes, no, just kids in our school, ICE. We look out for each other, and we see white vans, we stay away. They're like hyper vigilant. Okay. So number one, beautiful
Can
community.
you
They look
just
out for each other.
remind people how old your kids are? Because I want them to understand how old your kids are and what this country is forcing them to do.
Khadija, 5. Nunu, 9. Ibu, 11. There's a cost. There's consequences. It's real, folks. It's not a game. That's what I want to say. It's not a game. So when we ask white moderates to put their skin in the game, you have skin in the game. You just don't realize it. And your white skin will not protect you from fascism. For those fellow people of color, your Tesla, your education, your suburban community will not protect you. All right. We need 10 toes down. And so that's the case that I make for the rest of us. If you're a moderate, ain't no moderation here. You
Ain't
can't
no
be
moderation.
you can't be a centrist or a moderate or both sides, fascism or genocide. You just can't. It can't happen. So you need to pick. You need to pick a side. Either you be complicit or you're going to be a radical or maybe just a normal citizen like us who's going to use their voice and their privileges to speak out. I give the final word to you, Daniel.
Yeah, I just, when people ask me nowadays, like, what do you consider yourself? I used to go on TV as a Democratic strategist. I used to go on as like a Democratic, analyst. What am I now? I'm a humanist. I'm somebody that believes in the self determination of all peoples, regardless of your fucking race, your ethnicity, your ability, your gender, your gender identity, your orientation, etc., your religion, all of it. Right? Like, and if that is what it means to be radical, then call me a radical. Because I do believe that we can create and build a country and build a world, right, that sees everyone's humanity. Right? I do believe that. I believe that we can use the lessons of history and instead of erasing it, elevate it so that we don't continue to make the same mistakes and worse each and every time. So like
Amen.
so that's what I will say.
Folks, this there's 1,300 people watching, almost 1,400 people watching, which is fantastic. Again, this conversation, I partnered with Ground News. Ground News is a fantastic website. They're my first partner. Danielle and I, we're independent. We have not done a pitch deck. We have not solicited any support. Ground News found me because they said we just like what you and Danielle and others say. They also have partnered up with Mehdi Hassan of Zateo, also with Qasim Rashid, also with Jess Craven, all friends of the show. They're an aggregator of international, national, and local news, a one-stop shop. And then they also are an auditor. They audit it. They tell you exactly who funds it, whether they lean left or right, and whether or not they're trustworthy. And then you can compare and contrast headlines. So they have sponsored this. It's Ground News. And I've just left. There you go. I just put a link. They're giving anyone who's watching right now 40% off. So I don't get the money. If you do 40% off, nothing comes back to me or Danielle. But just check it out. I think it's a really good. And they also Aaron Parnas, great, and also the IHIP ladies. So
Yeah.
folks, check it out. This is the midweek check-in for Democracy Ish. Danielle Moody is a one-woman shop. She does like 1,400 shows. She's at Damn Digest. That's her Substack. Like me, she's a terrible capitalist. No paywalls. Danielle, tell them about where to find you and support you on YouTube.
Yes, please. So I'm on YouTube at Danielle Moody. You can just Google that Moodie. I'm working tirelessly to get to 40,000. Again, I put nothing of my content behind a paywall. So go there, subscribe. Democracy Ish is live on my YouTube on Monday and on Fridays at 12 p.m. Eastern. And right here on Substack, the Damn Digest. I am here all of the time. No content goes behind a paywall. But if you do have the ability to become a paid subscriber, do consider doing so because, again, support independent media so that we can continue to bring you the kind of content with integrity and passion that you deserve.
When's your next show today?
My next show is at 5 p.m., The Danielle Moody Show on my YouTube channel.
Uh, Clyde, love you guys. Please don't be a gay moderate. I think he means literally. Danielle is the sole representative of all Black women and LGBTQ folks. I'm the sole representative of all Pakistanis and Muslims, but you have allies today. You got Clyde and others. Yeah, look, you can't be moderate. The funny thing is this. Look. The great saying in Islam is, choose a moderate path when it comes to your life. Like, don't do excess when it comes to self-destruction, but you cannot be a moderate when it comes to genocide and fascism. You just can't, folks. You can't both sides it anymore. And just if you got kids, even if you don't have kids, we all have a life, we all have a death. Think about how history will remember you. Do you want to be one of the people who keeps their head down? Jimmy Fallon, I want to ask you this right before we leave. Jimmy Fallon, he has so much money. He has so much wealth. He's been on TV. What more does he need? You know what he said today? Hey, I'm just going to keep my head down on politics. Tonight Show's never been really a political show. Your response to Jimmy Fallon's quote from today?
I mean, Jim, like you're a punk, right? You're a punk who doesn't want to put skin in the game, who believes that, you can just keep your head down and just work through it. Everything is fucking political. Everything is political. And one of your own almost lost his show, right? And has come back out fucking punching. And so don't look to Fallon for courage, right? And for that, he should lose ratings because this is the moment for people that have platforms and privilege to be able to put that shit like up front, right? Be on the front lines. Because for you, it costs you really nothing. For us, it's everything.
That's it. That's Danielle Moody. This is Wajat Lee. This is the Left Hook and Damn Digest, combining our powers together for a midweek check-in of Democracy-ish. Danielle, I won't be able to do Democracy-ish on Friday because I'm traveling yet again, and
Ugh,
after I'm stopping. I know, but we did yesterday. Danielle and I were on.
yes.
Uh, Kai Von Schroff and Lev Parnas. I recommend you checking that. Also, our Monday show, we were out. We brought all their receipts, and we did this midweek check-in. We will be back Monday
Monday.
at 12 p.m. Eastern Time on Danielle's YouTube channel. What's the YouTube channel, Danielle?
It is Danielle Moody _ and that is Moodie.
And again, for those, I'm just putting that link again for groundnews.com/hook. Get 40% off. Try it out. I don't get the money, but I want you all to get the savings. I thought it was fantastic. And I want Ground News, if you're watching, I want you to partner with Danielle Moody. All right. If you partner with me and Qasim and Jess, next up, Danielle Moody. I'm going to make the pitch. Folks, be kind, be decent. Aren't you proud? I'm going to stop today. This will be the last one for
Oh
today.
my God. Everyone applaud Waj. He's doing so much and we appreciate everything, but we need him not to burn out. Okay. We need him. We need his energy. We need him healthy. So yes, yay.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing chores for the family set, but it'll be fun.
Good.
Everyone, take care, be kind, be decent, and please, oh, please don't
Don't be a
be
fascist.
fascist. Thank you, Danielle. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.